You know that hazy few minutes right after you wake up? That sort of in-between state?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Before the day really hits you.
What if those moments actually held, like, a surprising power to shape your entire day?
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it?
Mm.
That your very first thoughts could act like a subtle current influencing everything that follows.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what we're diving into today. We've got this document, Start Your Day Right.
Right.
And it explores how, consciously directing those first thoughts can create this ripple effect of positivity.
Consciously directing them.
Yeah. So our mission, let's say, is to unlock the potential of morning affirmations. See how they can maybe boost your confidence and help you achieve what you define as success.
Success being personal, of course.
Totally. So we'll cover what these things are, why mornings might be the, prime time.
The sweet spot.
Yeah, the sweet spot. And what the science suggests about their impacts and practical ways you can actually start using them.
Getting started tips.
Right. Specific examples for building confidence, achieving success, and even how to kind of weave them into your daily routine.
Make it a stick.
Exactly. So have you ever stopped to consider how those very first thoughts you have each morning might be subtly, or maybe not so subtly, molding your reality?
It's a deep question. Let's dig into how this document helps us understand that connection.
Okay, so this document talks about morning affirmations as, well, essentially positive statements you repeat to yourself first thing.
Simple idea on the surface.
Yeah, very. It gives some really clear examples like, I am confident in my abilities, or I am capable of achieving my goals.
And I deserve success and happiness. Things like that.
Simple, direct, positive. But it also makes a point, doesn't it? That it's more than just mindlessly repeating these words.
Absolutely. That's crucial. It's not just rote recitation.
There needs to be some genuine intention, maybe some belief behind them for them to really take hold.
Exactly. It's about connecting with the feeling, the meaning behind the words, not just, mouthing them like a script.
That makes total sense. Okay, so why mornings? What makes the morning such a receptive time for these affirmations? Why not? Like lunchtime or before bed?
Well, what's interesting about the morning, according to this thinking, is that your mind is often in a less cluttered state.
Okay.
You haven't yet been bombarded by the day's demands, the emails, the news, all that stuff.
Right.
Think of it as like a fresh mental landscape. It's maybe more open to planting these new seeds of thought.
Like a clean slate for your mind. Okay,
Yeah.
I get that. So you're starting the day with this focused positivity. What kind of benefits might someone expect to see if they actually incorporate these morning affirmations?
Well, the document highlights several key advantages. Firstly, and maybe most obviously, it can really set a positive tone for your entire day.
Okay.
Imagine it like choosing an upbeat playlist first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting that same old negative mental chatter kind of drone on.
Right, the default doom scrolling in your head.
Exactly. It's an intentional dose of optimism right out of the gate.
I like that analogy, setting the right mental vibe. What else? What else does it do?
It also helps you laser focus your mental energy on your goals.
How so?
Well, instead of getting immediately swept up in, emails or your massive to-do list.
Which is so easy to do.
Oh, totally. You're starting by reminding yourself of what's truly important to you, what you're actively working towards.
That's huge in our constantly distracting world. It's like a mental compass, sort of pointing you in the right direction before you get lost.
That's a good way to put it. And then there's this idea of building resilience. How do affirmations help with that?
Resilience, yeah. Dealing with the tough stuff.
The document suggests that consistent morning affirmations act as a kind of mental armor.
Okay.
By regularly reinforcing positive beliefs about yourself and your capabilities, you become, better equipped to weather the inevitable stresses and negativity the day might throw your way.
So you're building up a defense.
Kind of. Or maybe just a stronger inner foundation that makes you less easily knocked off balance.
So it's not just about feeling good in that moment. It's about, long-term mental toughness.
That seems to be the claim, yes.
Now, okay, some people might be listening and thinking, all right, sounds nice, but is there any real substance to this? What does the science actually say about how affirmations work? Is there any...
That's a great question. And yeah, the document does touch on the scientific underpinnings. It refers to research across neuroscience, positive psychology, even cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT.
So it's not just, wishful thinking or something from a self-help book necessarily. There's actual research exploring this.
Right. People are studying it.
So what are some of the key findings? What's the science showing?
What's pretty fascinating is that Some studies have indicated that affirmations can actually activate the reward centers in your brain.
Reward centers, like
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah, think of it like this. Consciously choosing positive self-talk might deliver a mini dose of dopamine
Ah,
first thing in the morning. It sets a positive brain state for the day. It's kind of a neurological win the morning, win the day.
okay, interesting.
And this can create a positive feedback loop, right? Strengthening those positive beliefs over time because your brain likes that little reward.
So it's like giving your brain a little jolt of, well, happy chemicals, basically.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
And the document also mentions the stress hormone, cortisol. How do affirmations play into that?
Right. Cortisol, the bad one.
Well, yeah, chronic high levels aren't great.
Mhm.
The document notes that affirmations have been linked, in some research, to a reduction in cortisol levels.
Really?
Yeah, which is significant because, as you know, chronic stress can have a whole range of negative effects on both mental and physical health.
Definitely.
So by potentially lowering cortisol, morning affirmations might actually contribute to better overall well-being, less stress reactivity.
Interesting. So it's impacting both mind and body potentially. And then there's this concept of neural pathways. How do affirmations relate to those, like brain wiring?
Yeah, exactly. Imagine your thoughts like paths in a forest.
And-
The more you walk down a certain path, say a negative thought pattern, the more worn and easier to follow it becomes, right? It's the default route.
Makes sense.
Affirmations, the idea is, help you create and strengthen new positive paths in your brain. By consistently repeating these positive statements, you're essentially paving new mental highways.
Okay.
And these highways lead to stronger feelings of self-worth, maybe greater motivation, because those positive thoughts become more automatic over time.
That's a really clear way to visualize it, like literally rewiring your brain towards positivity, building new infrastructure.
Kinda, yeah. And the document even mentions MRI studies, what those reveal.
Oh, wow. Brain scans.
Yeah. The document highlights MRI findings that show increased activity in a specific brain region, the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, during self-affirmation.
And what does that part of the brain do?
It's involved in how we value things positively and also our self-perception. So essentially, by affirming positive beliefs, you're actively exercising the brain region responsible for self-worth.
You're literally strengthening your internal sense of value on a neurological level.
That's what the research suggests, yes. A measurable response.
That's incredible. Okay, so we've got the why and some of the science. Now let's get practical. If someone listening wants to start incorporating morning affirmations, what are some baby steps they should take?
Good question. The document suggests starting small. Really small, even just 5 minutes a day. Don't try to boil the ocean.
Okay, 5 minutes. Manageable.
Very. It's also crucial to choose affirmations that genuinely resonate with you. Don't just pick random ones. They need to feel somewhat true, or at least possible.
Right. Personal meaning.
Exactly. And consistency is key. You've got to make it a daily practice, or as close to daily as possible.
Makes sense, like exercise.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And when you say your affirmations, try to do so with conviction. Feel the emotion behind them. Looking in a mirror can sometimes help amplify this for some people.
Okay, say it like you mean it. Maybe look yourself in the eye.
Yeah. And finally, try to make it a habit by linking it to something you already do every morning.
Ah, habit stacking.
Precisely.
Really?
Like while you're waiting for your coffee to brew or right after you brush your teeth, something automatic.
He's smart.
Oh, and the document also advises starting with affirmations that feel at least somewhat believable or achievable. Then you can gradually build toward maybe more ambitious ones as your belief grows.
Right. Don't start with I am a billionaire if you're flat broke, maybe.
Probably not going to resonate immediately, no. Start with something like, I am capable of improving my financial situation.
Okay. So, start small, make it personal, be consistent, say it with feeling, tie it to an existing habit, and start believably. Sounds like a solid plan.
It's a good framework.
Now let's talk specific examples. The document provides affirmations specifically for boosting confidence. What are some of those?
Yeah, for building confidence, it offers things like, I am strong and capable.
Okay, classic.
I trust my instincts. I embrace challenges. These are all about fostering that sense of inner strength and self-reliance. Believing you can handle things.
Those are powerful, simple but powerful.
Yeah.
What are some others focused on confidence?
Others include, I learn and grow every day. That emphasizes continuous improvement, right? Not being perfect now.
Yeah, I like that one.
I am worthy of respect. That reinforces self-value. I release all self-doubt, actively letting go of that negative voice.
Actively releasing it.
And then there's, I am enough. just as I am, which is huge for self-acceptance.
That one hits home for a lot of people, I think. I am enough.
Definitely. And lastly, maybe my inner strength guides me, tapping into that internal compass we talked about.
Those are all really resonant. Okay, now what about affirmations geared towards achieving success? And the document points out, importantly, that success means different things to different people, right?
Exactly. Success is super personal. It's not always about money or career.
For sure. But what are some examples the document gives for that kind of mindset?
Well, it includes things like, I am successful in everything I do, which sets a really positive expectation. Might feel bold, but it sets a tone.
Okay.
Or, I attract opportunities in abundance, fostering a mindset of possibility rather than scarcity.
I like those, sort of setting the intention for success to flow towards you. What are some other success-oriented ones?
Let's see. My goals are within reach, which helps maintain that sense of possibility, keeps you motivated.
Instead of feeling overwhelmed.
Right. I am the architect of my destiny, emphasizing personal agency, that you're in control.
Taking ownership.
Yeah. And I wake up with purpose and energy, setting a proactive, engaged tone for the day ahead.
Those are all great for cultivating that success-oriented mindset, whatever success looks like for you. Now, the document also mentions you can make these affirmations even more effective by combining them with other practices. What sort of things?
Yeah, it specifically highlights visualization.
Ah, picturing it.
Exactly. Creating a vivid mental image, like a little movie in your head, of yourself already achieving your goals while you're repeating your affirmations.
You feel it more deeply.
Yeah, it makes the desired outcome feel more real, more attainable. It engages more of your brain.
Makes sense.
Meditation is also mentioned. Using meditation to quiet the mind first can create a space of focused intention.
Clear the noise.
Allowing the affirmations to sink in more deeply, perhaps. And the document also suggests maybe using calming music or nature sounds to create a more conducive, relaxed atmosphere for your practice.
So it's about engaging multiple senses, maybe? And creating a focused mental space. Seems logical. Now, what kind of actual benefits might someone expect to see if they consistently use these morning affirmations, maybe combined with visualization or meditation?
Well, the document suggests, and many people report, feeling a noticeable reduction in anxiety and an increase in focus throughout the day.
Okay, less anxious, more focused. That's big.
Huge. And this aligns with that potential for lower stress levels and improved mental clarity we talked about with the science bit.
Right.
The document also notes, maybe more anecdotally, people experiencing things like career breakthroughs,
Wow.
stronger relationships, a greater sense of purpose and motivation in their lives. So potentially tangible results in various areas.
So it's not just about a fleeting good feeling in the morning. It can actually lead to real-world changes over time.
That's the potential, yes, if practiced consistently and with intention.
Now, how do you actually weave this into your existing morning routine? Making it stick seems key. The document offers some suggestions, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
As we touched on, linking your affirmation practice to habits you already have is a big one, like while the coffee brews or after you shower.
Piggybacking on something automatic.
Right. Making it an enjoyable part of a relaxing morning ritual can also help with consistency. If it feels like a chore, you probably won't stick with it.
Good point. Make it pleasant.
And it's important to be patient. Results often take time. It's not an overnight fix.
Manage expectations.
Exactly. And crucially, the document emphasizes that affirmations are most effective when paired with action.
Okay. So you can't just sit there affirming I am fit and never go to the gym?
Precisely.
Yeah.
You can't just affirm your way to success without putting in the actual effort. Affirmations provide the right mindset, the motivation, the belief.
The mental fuel.
Yeah, the mental fuel. But you still need to drive the car, take the journey.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, now beyond affirmations themselves, the document also touches on other beneficial morning practices that can complement this. What are some of those?
Right, it's about a holistic approach sometimes. It mentions the simple importance of hydration, starting your day by drinking water.
Simple but effective.
Gentle stretching or getting your body moving in some way is also recommended, just to get the blood flowing, wake up the body. Listening to motivational audio or podcasts can provide further inspiration, maybe reinforce the positive mindset.
Like this deep dive.
Exactly. Planning your top 3 goals for the day can bring focus right away. Practicing gratitude, just thinking of a few things you're thankful for, sets a really positive emotional foundation.
Gratitude is powerful.
Very. And finally, maybe reading something inspiring or educational, even for a few minutes, can further stimulate your mind in a positive way.
So it's about creating this whole supportive morning routine that nourishes your mind and body.
That seems to be the idea, yes. Affirmations can be one part of that larger picture.
Now, one really crucial aspect the document brings up is becoming aware of your internal self-talk, that inner voice, and consciously shifting it. Why is that so important, and how do you actually do it?
It's huge because our internal dialogue, that running commentary in our heads, can often be a major source of negativity and self-doubt.
Oh,
Yeah,
the inner critic.
exactly. And that critic can totally undermine even the most positive affirmations if you let it run wild.
So what do you do?
The key is to first become aware of those negative thoughts as they arise. You have to catch them in the act.
Mindfulness, almost.
Yes, a form of mindfulness. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, oh, I'm definitely going to fail at this presentation,
Yeah.
you consciously pause, notice the thought, and then actively replace it with a relevant, positive affirmation you've been practicing, like, I am well prepared and capable of handling this challenge.
So you intercept the negative thought and substitute the positive one.
Exactly. It takes practice, lots of practice sometimes, but it's a really powerful way to start reshaping those underlying, often automatic, negative beliefs.
It's like being the editor of your own inner monologue, cutting out the unhelpful stuff and replacing it.
That's a great way to put it. You're taking control of the narrative.
Okay. Now, how do you track your progress with affirmations? Does the document offer any guidance on, seeing if it's actually working?
Yeah, it does suggest a couple of things. Using a daily checklist or maybe a journal.
Journaling again?
Yep. To note down the affirmations you're using and maybe quickly rate your mood or energy levels before and after your practice.
Ah, like a little data collection.
Kinda. You can also track your progress towards your larger goals that the affirmations relate to. Seeing movement there can be really motivating. Right? This whole process helps you stay accountable, keeps you motivated because you can see the shifts, and it allows you to notice the positive changes you're making over time, even small ones.
So it provides tangible evidence that it's having an impact, which probably reinforces the habit.
Exactly. It closes that feedback loop again.
And what about journaling specifically in conjunction with affirmations? The document mentions that too, right? How does that work?
Absolutely. Journaling can be a really powerful complement. It's not just about tracking. It's about deepening the practice.
How so?
Well, you can actually write down your affirmations in your journal, but then you can also reflect on how you're feeling about them. Do they ring true? Where's the resistance?
It's exploring the feelings around them.
Yeah. And you can explore any related thoughts or intentions that come up. Why did you choose this affirmation? What does it really mean to you? It just deepens your engagement with the whole process.
So it's about making it an active, reflective process, not just passive repetition.
Precisely. Much more powerful that way.
Okay. Any final thoughts from the document on personalizing this practice, making it your own?
Yeah, the main thing it encourages is adaptation and experimentation. Find what resonates best with you.
Right.
There's really no one-size-fits-all approach here. The key is to be open to trying different affirmations, maybe different times of the morning, different combinations with other practices like visualization or gratitude.
Keep tweaking it.
Yeah, until you find a routine or rhythm that genuinely serves you and feels authentic.
So the ultimate goal is to create a personalized practice that actually works for you. Makes sense. Well, it certainly sounds like starting your day with mindful morning affirmations could be a really powerful tool, a way to actively build confidence and move towards success, however you personally define that.
That really is the core message, I think. It's about harnessing those first few moments of your day, which often just drift by.
Yeah, totally.
And intentionally using them to shape your mindset, to set a positive course for everything that follows.
And it's quite encouraging, really, to know that even dedicating just a few minutes each day to this kind of practice could potentially have a significant impact over time.
Absolutely. Small hinges swing big doors sometimes.
Yeah. So maybe the thought to leave folks with is this. Every single new day presents a fresh opportunity, a chance to intentionally, consciously cultivate the confident and successful mindset you want to have. What will you do with those first few moments tomorrow?
A powerful question to consider.
So, at its core, procrastination really boils down to this fundamental idea of intentionally putting things off. It's not merely a matter of being exceptionally busy and having a multitude of competing priorities vying for our attention. Instead, it's characterized by the active and often conscious decision to avoid or postpone tasks that we intellectually recognize as important, necessary, and requiring our immediate or near-term attention. What fundamentally distinguishes procrastination from simple disorganization or poor planning is that we frequently engage in this pattern of delay even when we are acutely aware that postponing these very tasks will likely precipitate negative consequences down the line. These negative outcomes can manifest in various forms, ranging from the tangible repercussions of a missed deadline or a hastily completed project, to the more intangible but equally impactful effects of increased stress levels, a diminished sense of personal efficacy, or a self-perceived decline in the overall quality of our work. And the paramount thing to truly internalize here is that this pervasive tendency to delay action is not primarily rooted in a deficit of practical time management skills, although deficiencies in this area can undoubtedly serve as a contributing factor for certain individuals. Rather, the more profound and often overlooked origins of procrastination lie deep within our complex emotional landscape, specifically in our immediate and anticipated emotional responses to the task itself. It's fundamentally about how we feel when we contemplate initiating or actively engaging with that particular piece of work or responsibility. So, it becomes absolutely crucial to recognize that procrastination is not merely a rational and calculated decision to engage in a more immediately gratifying or pleasurable activity in the present moment. Instead, it frequently operates as a subtle yet powerful emotional regulation strategy, a way in which our intricate brains attempt to shield us from the discomfort of unpleasant feelings. These aversive feelings can manifest in a wide spectrum of forms, encompassing everything from the sharp pang of anxiety stemming from a fear of not performing the task adequately, to the overwhelming sense of being utterly inundated by its perceived complexity or sheer magnitude, or even the dull ache of plain boredom and a lack of intrinsic motivation if the task is perceived as tedious, repetitive, or fundamentally unengaging. This often subconscious mechanism of emotional avoidance truly resides at the very heart of the seemingly irrational behavior we label as procrastination. Let's delve into a very clear and relatable example to truly illuminate this often misunderstood psychological phenomenon. Imagine an individual who is acutely aware of an impending significant work presentation scheduled for the culmination of the current week. Intellectually, they possess a firm understanding of its high priority within their professional responsibilities and the imperative need to actively dedicate focused time and effort to its preparation. However, each time they mentally steel themselves to sit down and begin the crucial process of crafting compelling visual slides or meticulously rehearsing their oral delivery, they are met with an unwelcome and often debilitating surge of anxiety. This anxiety might stem from a deep-seated fear of public speaking, a nagging worry that their carefully formulated ideas will not be well received by their audience, or even a more generalized apprehension about the potential for scrutiny and judgment. As a direct consequence of this internal emotional resistance, and as a subconscious mechanism of self-preservation against these unpleasant feelings, they might suddenly perceive an urgent and compelling need to engage in a seemingly productive but ultimately less critical activity, such as the meticulous and time-consuming organization of their already well-managed digital files, or they might experience a sudden and overwhelming sense of obligation to address a long-overdue but non-essential personal task, such as researching a relatively minor and non-urgent purchase. While these chosen activities might possess some marginal level of importance within the broader context of their lives, the immediate and undeniably powerful driver behind their selection over the crucial presentation preparation is the deeply ingrained and often subconscious desire to temporarily escape the anticipated negative emotions that are inextricably linked to the more pressing and demanding task. Okay, that detailed example provides a much clearer and more visceral understanding of the powerful role that emotional avoidance plays in the phenomenon of procrastination. Now, in our everyday language and casual conversations, we frequently employ the term procrastination somewhat loosely and often interchangeably with other conceptually related but fundamentally distinct behaviors, such as simple laziness, the pursuit of an often debilitating perfectionism, and general difficulties with effective time management. To build a more precise and nuanced understanding of procrastination itself, it is essential that we draw some clear and discernible distinctions between these related but ultimately separate concepts. Therefore, let's methodically walk through each of these terms individually to construct a more accurate and insightful framework for our discussion. Let's commence our exploration of related concepts with the notion of simple laziness. At its fundamental core, laziness is generally characterized by a demonstrable and often persistent lack of intrinsic motivation or a marked unwillingness to exert any level of effort that is perceived as necessary or required. While an individual who is actively procrastinating might outwardly exhibit behaviors that could be superficially interpreted as laziness, namely the avoidance of required tasks, the underlying psychological drivers are often considerably more complex and deeply rooted in the emotional avoidance strategies that we have previously discussed in detail. A person who is genuinely characterized by laziness might simply lack the internal impetus or desire to engage in any form of productive activity, whereas a procrastinator often harbors the underlying intention of eventually completing the avoided task, but becomes ensnared in a recurring cycle of persistent postponement that is fundamentally driven by their negative emotional associations with it. Now, let's turn our attention to the often cited concept of perfectionism. This is a personality trait that is sometimes mistakenly lauded as a virtue, but it can actually serve as a significant and often unrecognized catalyst for procrastination. The intense and often irrational fear of not executing a task flawlessly, of failing to meet an impossibly high and self-imposed standard of excellence, can lead an individual to delay even the initial stages of commencing the task altogether. They might become psychologically trapped in the preliminary planning and preparation phases, endlessly revising, tweaking, and overthinking every minute detail, never reaching a point where they feel their work is sufficiently good enough or perfect enough to warrant moving forward to the active execution of the task. Consequently, while the observable outcome, the important task remains incomplete, may superficially resemble procrastination, the fundamental driving force is often this deeply ingrained and often unconscious desire to avoid any potential failure or negative self-judgment associated with producing anything perceived as less than absolutely flawless. And finally, let's address the commonly encountered issue of time management. It is an undeniable reality that poor organizational skills, ineffective planning strategies, and a general lack of proficiency in managing one's allocated time can certainly contribute to missed deadlines, a pervasive feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed by one's responsibilities, and a recurring pattern of rushing to complete tasks under intense last-minute pressure. These outwardly visible manifestations might, at times, be erroneously interpreted as procrastination. However, the critical distinction lies in the element of intentional delay driven by emotional discomfort. An individual who possesses highly effective time management skills might still find themselves actively procrastinating on a task that they perceive as particularly unpleasant, challenging, or emotionally taxing, even if they have allocated sufficient time within their schedule to complete it effectively. Conversely, an individual who struggles with genuine time management deficits might miss a deadline or submit substandard work simply due to disorganization, poor planning, and an inability to effectively allocate their time without necessarily experiencing the same level of active emotional avoidance that fundamentally characterizes true procrastination.